Hello YouTube. Today we'll be looking at a movie that seriously makes me wonder, how long do these people watch The Truman Show? Like, they even say in the movie that some people leave it on overnight. For one, that's really wasting your electric bill. Why would you do that? There's this thing called a sleep timer on a TV. If you want to go to sleep while watching the TV, that's fine. Put it on a timer for like 20 minutes. Then you can go to sleep. Seriously, do these people never do that? They bring this up in the movie and it really annoys me. And also, do they watch every little thing that Truman does? Like, him getting changed, is that a crucial part of his day that they need to see? Him using the bathroom, do they watch him do that, or do they go and use the bathroom during that time? Do they have jobs? Do any of the viewers of the show have jobs, or do they just get paid to watch the show? Really, I don't get it. How did this show make money again? Like, it's not edited down into a 30-minute format or anything, so then, you know, you could actually watch it at some point in your day. You're either watching it 24/7 or you're not watching it at all, since then you'll be completely lost as to what exactly is going on. So, yeah. These people not watch anything else? Really, I have so many questions as to how the show even got off the ground, but okay, anyway, let's look into it. Okay, so our movie starts off with a TV interview about The Truman Show, immediately letting us know that this is in fact a TV show and Truman does not know it, and that he's the star, but he's just unaware. Now, to me, this is probably one of the biggest issues with the movie, as it just automatically lets you know that this is a TV show and Truman doesn't know it. That's where the main aspect of the conflict for this film comes in, but the thing is, you already start off learning it. Yeah, one of the major plot points of the movie, and you start off the movie telling us it. Now, I'm not gonna say that it's done badly. In fact, the thing with the audience watching it and also getting to see the crew and everything sometimes, that's fine. I like it. I honestly have no problem against it. I think that it actually does bring in some humor into it, and it does answer a lot of the questions for the film. But here is my biggest problem with it. You don't figure it out as Truman does. Now, I honestly wish that there was an edited version of this movie where you are slowly figuring it out as Truman does. Like, you start to notice all the weird things with this world that he lives in. And slowly but surely you start to find out what's really going on. And then maybe once Truman really finds out, has that breaking point with Meryl, then show that TV interview. Then show that interview with the creator. Show those things after Truman has figured it out. To me, that would have made it more effective. But that's just my opinion. I do kind of wish that is how they played it. Like, they had played it more that you're figuring this out as Truman does. But anyway, so yeah, we start off with a TV interview, which we then find out that Truman has apparently been on the show his whole life and has never noticed anything off. Yeah, his whole life, nothing whatsoever seemed out of place to him. Really? Seriously? Not one little thing seemed off to you. They show later that guy honestly bursts out of Christmas presents and tells him, "You're on a TV show." That never seemed out of place to him? Really? Never once raised a red flag there, huh? Nothing? Wow. Okay, so yeah, I guess Truman's just incredibly oblivious to everything around him. Either that or he's been raised in this setting, so yeah, he just kind of got used to things being slightly out of the norm here. Either one, but still, I still get how he never noticed anything weird about this until 30 years have passed. But yeah, Truman is actually a pretty normal guy, outside of honestly seeming like he's on a 70s sitcom. Don't know why he acts like that. This movie was made in the 90s. So yeah, I don't know why exactly he acts like he's in the 70s, but whatever, he does. So maybe it's just all those old movies that he apparently watches, as we see him later on watching one of those really old movies. Maybe that just had an impact on him, I don't know. So, pretty much Truman's a pretty normal guy, but all of a sudden, a spotlight falls from the ceiling, and he just ignores it. Yeah, like you do. Spotlight falls from the sky. Nothing worth questioning here until after 10 seconds. Yeah, really, just like 10 seconds go by, and then he's just like, what is this? Oh, wait, no, I gotta get to my job, okay. So, yeah, he completely ignores that. And then he gets to his job. He lives a pretty normal life, but he seemingly has a very strange obsession. A random woman that he met, that they talked to for like an evening. Yeah, some random woman you talked to for an evening. Complete reason to become obsessed with this. Yeah, seriously, I don't get this. He talked to Sylvia for like an evening. That's it. That's the only time they ever exchange words. And yet this causes some giant obsession with him, so much so that he'll rip pictures out of women magazines so he can put them in a collage, so then he can recreate this woman's face perfectly. For one, that is incredibly creepy. Seriously, what? Why would he do that? That is so creepy. And like, were there no pictures of her in your yearbook or anything? Like, even if she didn't make it through the whole school year, she was still at that school. There would still be a yearbook for that. Her picture would be in it. Or did you just think that Meryl might see it and she would become suspicious of that? But anyway, she could just take out that picture and see the back of it with all those creepy little cutouts that you have anyway. So yeah, if that's your argument there, it's kind of easily debunked. But still, he apparently just thinks that making creepy little collages of this lady is better. So, yeah, he pretty much has an obsession with this woman for no distinct reason. And he also seems to want a little bit more out of his life, like to go to Fiji. Don't know really why that's the specific place that he wants to go. I mean, okay, yeah, it does tie back to Sylvia in one way, but still, you're in your 30s, or at least in the movie, they say that it's gonna be his 30th anniversary of the show. And yeah, the show has started up ever since he was born. So yeah, he's about ready to become 30, and he met this girl in high school. Yeah, I'm sure that she never moved away from Fiji whatsoever. Seriously. Really? You just sort of assume that she always stayed on Fiji, just wondering that you'll see her again or something? Like, what did you think that she's doing there? Like, did you just think that she's sitting on a beach, just like, man, I hope that Truman, that random guy I met one evening, comes over to Fiji so we can hang out or something? Like, what does he think that she's gonna do? But anyway, he does start to notice a lot more things are off about his world. Like, he just starts noticing that there are sets. Again, 30 years, and he never once noticed this until now. How? How could you never notice this for 30 years? Seriously, that is impossible to miss. And if you've just been ignoring it for so long, why aren't you ignoring it now? What changed? What, did you just suddenly wake up today and said, well, there's something really odd about our world today, might as well go investigate it? Don't know why, I just want to. Like, really, why? Why are you so determined to investigate it now, all of a sudden? You're 30! Why do you care now? After 30 years, now you just randomly decide, I should care about this because reasons that are unknown to me. Yeah, this really confuses me. Okay, but anyway, let's move on from that. So yeah, he starts to notice these things, and he decides, well, that's it. I'm gonna go to Fiji because I just want to get out of all of this insanity. So, yeah, the best way to get out of all this insanity is by acting insane. It's played by Jim Carrey. Is this really a surprise? And I will say these scenes are really fun. Like, these scenes to watch are very fun, and the humor is done really well here. But every single time he tries to get out, something gets in his way. And he continues to put the pieces together that this is in fact a TV show, and he's unknowingly has been the star of it this whole time. So now, having figured this out, he decides to make his epic escape plan. Plant a snowman inflatable thing in his bed and make a tape recorder of him sleeping. Which, even though he's monitored 24/7, he somehow had time to do that. And somehow wasn't noticed making any of these changes. Don't know how they missed that, but they did. Somehow. And yeah, once he's done that, then he's able to escape. And again, he somehow gets out completely unknowingly from the crew. Don't get how that works. And once he's finally out, then he decides to face his biggest fear. Riding a boat. Dun dun dun. Yeah, okay, so they do explain this in the movie, that the reason why this is his biggest fear is because, well, something that they did for drama on the show once, and also as a way to keep him on the island, was that they had his father pretend to die in a boat accident on the water. This would get Truman afraid of the water, so then he would never try to leave this island that they're stuck on. That, and they just wanted to get rid of the father, I guess. So, yeah, that seemingly worked for a time, but then they bring his dad back, so I guess that was enough to convince Truman that, never mind, this is totally fake. I mean, yeah, I guess it would convince me too. So, now he's pretty much just riding around on a boat, and he's gonna escape. But they decide to crank up the weather, and Truman almost dies. But luckily he's okay, so there goes all that suspense. And eventually Truman does finally get to the end of the set, where he just sort of leaves. leaving on his catchphrase, in case I don't see you, good morning, good evening, and good night. So, yeah. That's pretty much the story. And everyone just sort of starts cheering in a hysterical fashion. Seriously, these people were either really happy to see their favorite show end, or they're just really happy for them. Either way, still kind of weird, but it's still pretty funny, so I will give them that. And then they just immediately changed the channel. Yeah. So, this big thing that's taken up 30 years of your life, and let's just change the channel, it's over now. So, that's the story, and, well, I will say this, it has a ton of things that could have gone wrong with it. Like, there are tons of little things that I do wish that they had addressed. Like, did the actors ever mess up on their lines, like, even once? Because they only got one take for this, and, yeah, if they mess it up, they're done. If this thing gets messed up, every bit of this whole entire show would have been gone. So they had to pick out some really good actors, or Truman just never noticed these little mistakes on lines. That, and seriously, Truman never noticed anything bizarre happening in his surroundings. Until now, for some reason. Like, really? Never once did he notice anything strange. Like, I'm pretty sure that wasn't even the first time that one of those spotlights had fallen. Pretty sure that's happened before. It's just like he didn't notice until now for some reason. And the thing with the rain, yeah. That had to have happened once before, too, right? Like, it had to have happened. How did none of this happen before? Or is this the very first time that the crew decided to slack off? If so, why did the crew slack off now? Really, what's the point of that? Why slack off all of a sudden? Did it just get up to 30 years and you're just like, yeah, we're bored of this. Let's just put in a medium amount of effort. It won't really matter, right? Like, really? What? Why? How did nothing go wrong? Also, none of these things that have ever happened to him, like people honestly telling him quite a few times that this is a TV show, that never added up to anything until this random girl named Sylvia said so, and that stuck in his head for a long time. Don't know why, it just does. And yeah, I really don't get it. Why did that work? Also, all the actors on the show never seem to have actually liked Truman. Like, they spend their whole lives with this guy, but they never once actually established any form of friendship with him. Really? Like, never? That never once happened? Also, do these actors live normal lives, or are they just 24/7 stuck on this TV set? Or are these just all people who hardly had any lives, but they were good actors, so they all joined this show? Like, is that who these people were, so they don't care what happens? I'm like, really? I have so many questions as to how they never got any complaints from the crew, how nothing ever went wrong until now, why people watch the show 24/7. Really, do people actually watch the show 24/7, or do they just, like, take breaks? Do they watch it sometimes? Like, or do they just, like, look up a catch-up thing online or something? Really, I have so many questions on that part. How does the show still get ratings? It's 30 years of a guy living a normal life. What is so fascinating about that? I really don't get it. Anyway, yeah, there are lots of flaws like that, but it's still really well done, actually. The story, despite all the obvious issues that it could have, it's still very well executed, and it does still work for the way that it was intended. The bits with Jim Carrey going insane is also very fun, as, yeah, Jim Carrey's kind of made to do that, so watching him do that is still very fun, and yeah, the way that he just goes nuts here is also very enjoyable. He drives through fire. How is that not awesome? Um, and it is also kind of interesting to watch him slowly but surely figure out what's wrong with his world. Like, even though all those flaws do exist, yeah, he's still been raised in this environment. He's still been stuck here his whole life, so chances are he could have just gotten used to everything that happened. So, for the overall story, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Okay, so it's not the best, and it does have a lot of issues within itself, but it is still pretty good, and it is still a solid story for the most part. It's just that there are lots and lots of little flaws that could be taken up, that could be inserted into the film, that could probably destroy your viewing experience in it, but if you just go in with your brain switched off and don't really think too hard about that many things in it, then you'll probably get more engrossed in the movie, and it will probably be more engaging. So, yeah, now let's look at the characters. So now, starting off with the characters, we are of course going to talk about the main one, Truman, played by Jim Carrey, and honestly, I think that he does really good in this role. To me, this one kind of combines both acting methods that Jim Carrey is really good at. One, playing an insane character, which is probably his most famous acting style, but he does also play a normal character a lot. Or at least nowadays he does. I don't know why. Why is that? Why does he play a more normal character now? He's so much fun to see insane. But anyway, he does still play a normal character, and he's honestly really good at that. He can bring drama into a role. Like that ending scene with him, yeah, that really does get you feeling the emotions that he's going through, and it is a very well done piece of acting. There's not even any dialogue there, it's just showing his reaction. And it's very effective for it. People always forget that Jim Carrey can also play a dramatic role. He can play a serious role as well. And while, yes, watching him as being an insane guy is incredibly fun, seriously, I had to rewind a few scenes in this movie. Like him driving around. That was awesome. I'm sorry. Again, he drove through fire. How is that not awesome? And also, the scene where he's getting mad at Meryl. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. He ends up holding her at the edge of a knife. But it's still a really good piece of acting. It's hilarious. So, yeah, he can carry both a comedic point in being insane and also a dramatic and serious point. And to me, this role kind of combines both of those points, so honestly, I really like how we combine them. Seriously, people don't give Jim Carrey enough credit, in my opinion. He is a good actor, and if you want an example of that, go check out this movie. His character, he puts a lot of heart into it, and also he brings a lot of insanity to the table. So, in both aspects, he's very fun. And after that, we have Meryl, who I honestly didn't like. Yeah, really, out of all the characters that I do like in this movie, Meryl is probably one of those ones I really didn't. Mainly because, to me, she always seemed like she was trying to sell you something. And I know that that's the point of her, but still, she always seemed like she's trying to sell you random products in the show, so it really confuses me as to how Truman fell for all this for so long. Seriously. He's known this girl ever since high school, and yet all these years, he never once noticed her trying to push a product in his face was at all suspicious. Yeah, sure. And then all of a sudden, he does realize it. So then again, the way that he does realize it is totally worth it, so I'll give him that. That was honestly a hilarious scene. I seriously love that scene. But yeah, honestly, I really just didn't like Meryl. To me, she never really seemed like she cared about Truman that much, and she was just there for a paycheck so she could spend it on what exactly? She's stuck in this show forever. What is she planning on spending this check on? She just planning on spending it on random things in the show? I mean, seriously, if she's gonna have to fake being in love with Truman forever, do you think that maybe there would be some feelings developed? Oh yeah, you probably would think that would happen, but nope, never happens with stupid old Meryl. Nope, she always just regards Truman as some guy who she's just there for a paycheck. And to me, that's the biggest problem with her character. She never really seems like she ever developed any feelings for Truman, even though knowing him ever since high school and onward, yeah, never developed any feelings for him, did you, Meryl? Really? That's a problem with most of the actors in this movie, like most of the people acting as actors. They never really seem like they actually care about Truman as much as they care about the show that they're in. I mean, seriously, if you know this guy for this long, wouldn't at least some emotions develop towards him? Nope, apparently not. So yeah, I really don't get that, but apparently that's how that works, so I should never be putting any thought into that again. And then after Meryl, we have Marlon. Why do all of Truman's friends on this show have a name that starts with an M? Really, I don't get that. But anyway, Marlon, I pretty much have the same issue with as Meryl, in that he never once showed any bit of friendship towards Truman. Really, again, all these years, you've known this guy ever since you were kids, and yet never once were you guys friends? Are you kidding me? Seriously? Is that how that worked? Really? I really don't get that. That's really annoys me. Just like they never once became anything remotely close to being friends. Are you serious? This really got to me. I don't know why. But Marlon, despite being a lot like Meryl, does still have a little bit more of a character to him, and that he's more of a jerk. Yeah, really. Marlon, he's a real jerk. At least with Meryl, she had her breaking point. And there, we at least didn't have to see her actually show her real feelings towards Truman. With Marlon, it just seems like he really hated this guy after Truman goes missing. Seriously, am I the only one who picked up on that? This character really seemed to have some very harsh feelings towards Truman, and I really don't get it. Like, seriously? Really? He's just a jerk towards Truman in the end to me, and yeah, that makes him worse of a character, but Meryl, at least, it never seemed like she cared about her performance, whereas Marlon, it seems that he really did, and that just made his ending with him seem like he doesn't care at all about Truman even more harsh to me. So then after him, we have Sylvia, who honestly doesn't really play a role in this movie. I mean, okay, yes, she does play a role in being the one that sort of brings attention to the fact that Truman's in a TV show to Truman, and while I do still like her character in that regard, and yeah, it is nice to actually see someone voicing out their opinion towards the Truman Show and how, yeah, it is kind of a cruel way to treat someone. And while I do agree with her on that front, did Truman ever seem like he was actually negatively affected by this? I mean, like, if he were stuck in this show forever, would it really have been that bad for him? I mean, he grew up in this environment. Doesn't really seem like it would be that bad. And for Sylvia, as she is, she's fine. I don't mind her. She's pretty likable. She's at least more likable than Meryl, so I'll give her that. So then after her, we have Kristoff, who I have very mixed feelings towards. For one, he's kind of funny in how he's an over-portrayal of a director. Seriously, half of his dialogue is, no, 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 it needs to be perfect. It needs to be done like this, not this. No, 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 no. You need to edit it like this. And yeah, that is pretty funny to watch. So for that side, making him an over-pompous director is kind of fun. But then there's kind of that creepy side to him where he seems to be under the delusion that Truman is his own son, and yeah, in that sense, it can get kind of creepy. Really. He sees a shot of Truman sleeping on a monitor once, and he starts stroking the head of the screen. It's kind of creepy, but also it kind of does make sense as, yeah, he is the creator of this show, so we need to take into account how Truman would feel about that, and yeah, Kristoff is kind of the only one who actually does develop some feelings towards Truman over the years that he's been on this show. I just really don't get why the person who had to marry Truman, or the person who was the best friend of Truman, never developed any of those feelings, any feeling of friendship even. It's just Kristoff who develops this, and I really don't get that. But as it is still kind of funny, and it's also kind of creepy in both senses. So, yeah, for Kristoff, I am still kind of mixed on. And so overall, for the characters, I'm going to give them a 6.5 out of 10, as, yeah, most of the characters in this movie are the actors. Yeah, the actors playing actors. That's still kind of confusing, but yeah, half of them, all those actors playing actors, aren't really that great, as their characters don't go anything beyond, well, we really hated Truman, but we got a paycheck, so we might as well just stay on the show, because we got a paycheck that we'll never be able to use on this show, given our jobs. Also, one thing that always confused me with this, why not actually try learning a little bit about your job? Seriously, there's a doctor on this show. He never once learned how to be a doctor, or any type of medical profession whatsoever. If you're gonna be stuck in this career, you might want to try and learn a little bit about your profession. I mean, seriously, even if it's a fake one. Look to the Avengers cast. They actually learned how to fight for that movie. Yeah. Hawkeye, the actor for Hawkeye, honestly learned like 3 different fighting styles. Look to them for inspiration. They actually got invested in their role. But anyway, yeah, that part always bugged me. Also, there's some weird guy in a bathtub. What's with that guy? Does he ever get out of that bathtub? Is his TV in the bathtub, so he just has to watch the Truman Show in there? And so why is he always in a bath? I really have a lot of questions on this bathtub guy. What's with him? What's your story, bathtub man? But anyway, yeah, for the characters, 6.5 out of 10, as they're either pretty likable or they have quite a few flaws. But yeah, it goes either way. Some of the characters can be pretty likable, or at least have interesting traits about them, where the other ones can be incredibly annoying and you just want to hit them in the face. Seriously, Marlon. But anyway, And so yeah, for the characters, 6.5 out of 10. So what did I think about this movie overall? Well, it most certainly has its flaws, but then again, that probably did just come from me thinking about it too hard. As yeah, I do kind of overanalyze things, and honestly, some of the characters are pretty dislikable, and though that is their point in the movie, it still can be kind of annoying. And also, if you put any type of thought into how the actual production of this TV show went down, then yeah, your brain might start to hurt. But all in all, it is still a pretty good movie if you don't really think about it that hard, which is what I did on my first viewing of this film, and then I definitely got more invested in the actual movie. On my second viewing, where I thought about it more, yeah, it kind of took me out of the experience a bit more, so my best recommendation for this movie is go in not really thinking about it too much, and then you'll probably have a lot more fun as you watch it. But if you do think about it a bit, then you'll probably just have a little bit less fun, but it will still be a good experience overall. Because this movie is pretty good, and some of the acting on behalf of Jim Carrey and everything, they are very well done. Seriously, I do love Jim Carrey in this performance. He does amazing with it. And to me, he's honestly a very underrated actor. He is very good and can bring out different ranges of emotion. And also, some of the other characters in this film can get interesting, and the humor is done pretty well. Seriously, that guy in the bathtub, what was with him? Also, Jim Carrey's insane moments are incredibly fun to watch. Even if you do put any thought process in them, they're still a lot of fun. So, yeah. Overall, 7 out of 10. I really do like this movie, but yeah, if you put thought into it, then the idea is still pretty absurd. Just go in not really thinking too hard about it. And while I do still have some ways that I think that this movie could be improved, like maybe figuring out that it's a TV show along with Truman, and also making some of the ideas a little bit more feasible, yeah, that is still evident, but it is still pretty good on its own, and I do still like how it is done. So that's pretty much it, 7 out of 10, and next week we'll be looking at The Little Prince. So, in case I don't see ya, good morning, good evening, and good night.